After a long time still stuck in a house, the sun never came. The group are still fighting to survive. According to recovered footage and journal entries, the group had survived the first week, or what they considered the first week, inside the house. Sleep was now impossible. Food and water were nearly depleted. The four had stopped marking time with devices. Hours had no meaning. They began tracking time through physical exertion, counting steps along hallways, rotations in rooms, and the pace of their own breathing. At this point, the house's activity intensified. The walls no longer remained static. Cracks formed, then widened, as though the house were breathing, expanding and contracting subtly. Doors no longer opened on command. Windows that had previously shown only black voids now reflected impossible geometries. Staircases folding into themselves, furniture stacked at impossible angles, hallways that led back into themselves without warning. Chloe began whispering to herself constantly, pacing endlessly in the parlor. Maya's notebook entries became frantic. The rooms move. They are alive. Every doorway we pass becomes different. Every hallway returns us to the same place. We are never outside. We are never inside. We are only here. Driven by a mix of terror and curiosity, Lucas decided to investigate the upper floor fully. The camcorder footage captures him climbing the stairs slowly, his flashlight quivering. Chloe's voice echoes from below. Don't go. The upper floor, which had once appeared passable, now contained rooms that should not exist. One room was entirely black, yet visible objects floated within it. Toys, clothing, and furniture levitating slightly above the floor. A child's lullaby, distorted and slowed to unnatural rhythms, emanated from nowhere. In another room, they found mirrors again. But now the reflections began acting independently. They mimicked gestures the campers had not performed, and in some cases spoke in voices that were a combination of their own. Lucas recorded a chilling instance. Maya's reflection smiled at him, while she herself stared frozen, pale, and terrified. "It's learning us," Lucas whispered. "It's becoming us," Ethan replied. By this point, the house had fully suppressed any sense of natural light. Flashlights behaved erratically. Even the moonlight that filtered through broken windows was absorbed. Shadows were no longer cast normally. They moved independently, sometimes racing toward the campers, sometimes retreating, sometimes circling endlessly as if patrolling. One of the camcorder recordings captures Chloe speaking to a shadow that hovered near the doorway. "You can't have me." The shadow recoiled slightly, then advanced again, slipping into a corner. Maya later described in her notebook, "The darkness is alive. It thinks, it waits, it stretches toward us and into us." Isolation and perpetual night drove the campers to near insanity. Time lost all meaning, conversations repeated in loops, food was eaten in silence, sleep, when attempted, brought nightmares that persisted in the waking hours. Lucas documented one sequence in which all four appeared to argue with themselves. Audio captured multiple voices for each person, speaking in overlapping loops, some pleading, some screaming. The camcorder captured the physical impossibility of their hands interacting with objects that did not exist. Chloe began scratching words into walls. "Help us, it knows, it sees. We are already gone." Her handwriting grew larger, frantic, and in places became legible only to the four. With supplies gone, the group resorted to desperate measures. Water came from taps that now ran thick, dark, and metallic. Food rations had long vanished. Lucas recorded footage of Chloe attempting to eat raw foliage from the house's indoor planters. Strangely, these actions seemed to please the house. Rooms occasionally calmed after frantic activity. Windows would briefly reveal the forest outside, only to dissolve into black voids again. During one event, the camcorder captures Ethan attempting to break a window. The glass warped under his hands, stretching like rubber, then snapping back. A sound, low and resonant, filled the room, a voice speaking their names in unison from the walls themselves. Ethan, Maya, Lucas, Chloe, stay. Maya's journal entries provide glimpses into the house's past. Fragments of notes found in decayed journals indicated that the house had previously claimed occupants over decades, sometimes in groups, sometimes individually. Each set of victims left behind writings and recordings eerily similar to those left by the campers. The house waits. The house takes. The house is patient. The camcorder footage corroborated this. Walls now occasionally displayed faint shadows of previous inhabitants. Some rooms were filled with spectral echoes of people long gone, trapped in endless repetition. Ethan realized the house did not merely trap them, it absorbed them into its history, folding their existence into the fabric of the building itself. Up to this point, the house had tormented them largely psychologically and spatially. In this phase, it became physically threatening. The camcorder captures a sequence in which Lucas approaches the staircase to the attic. A gust of wind, or force, pushes him backward violently. Chloe screams, and shadows rise from the corners of the room like smoke, wrapping around her arms. Ethan attempts to pull her free, but the shadows resist. Lucas swings the camera wildly, capturing walls bending toward the parlor. The ceiling seems to pulse downward as if breathing. The footage abruptly ends with a shriek that blends all four voices into a single distorted sound. Recovered audio from the same period features Maya whispering, "We are not allowed to leave. We never were. We are becoming it." By the fourth cycle of night, the group's cohesion had dissolved. Lucas wandered hallways talking to himself, filming constantly. Chloe had stopped speaking coherently. Ethan attempted to maintain some semblance of order, but increasingly questioned his own memory and perception. Maya's notebook is filled with overlapping entries, indecipherable in places. We move, we wait. We see ourselves, we do not move. The house is awake, the house remembers, the house is patient, the house hungers, the house is patient. Physical reality had become fluid. Floors warped underfoot, walls expanded and contracted, hallways ended abruptly at blank surfaces, then returned to staircases they had already ascended. Doors opened into new rooms that should not exist. The final recordings from this phase capture events that confirm the house was no longer merely a location, but a predator. The house actively pursued, monitored, and shaped the campers' actions. Audio records whispers and voices, sometimes imitating the campers themselves, sometimes issuing commands. The four began to obey instinctively, sometimes against their conscious will. Lucas documented a sequence where the four stood in a circle, silent, staring at a wall that slowly opened into a dark corridor. Without prompting, each stepped forward. The door behind them disappeared, leaving nothing but the continuous walls. Footage ends in static, with faint echoes of the campers' laughter or screams, distorted and overlapping. Recovered notes from Maya's journal summarize the final understanding. We are trapped. We do not leave. We are part of it now. We are the house, and the house is us. Morning is gone. There is only night. Investigators have reconstructed Part 4 from recovered footage, journals, and audio fragments left inside the house. This phase represents the final catastrophic events, the complete domination of the environment by the house, and the total disappearance of the four campers. By the final cycle of night, the house no longer merely manipulated reality, it controlled the very bodies of its occupants. The camcorder captures sequences in which Ethan, Maya, Lucas, and Chloe move through hallways without volition, repeating patterns they had attempted to break for days. The walls throbbed with a heartbeat that matched their own, yet distorted. Floors rippled underfoot. Ceilings sank and rose, sometimes pressing downward as if testing resistance. The house had become sentient in a physical sense, aware of every movement, thought, and emotion. Maya's final notes from her journal reflect the mental collapse. We are too tired to fight. The house knows us. We know the house. It whispers our names. It is us, and we are it. Morning is gone. We are gone. The house waits for no one. The house remembers. The house's manifestations became more aggressive. Shadows solidified into figures, humanoid yet featureless, attacking the group physically. Floors opened like mouths to swallow limbs. Staircases twisted, forcing climbers upward into ceilings, downward into basements that appeared infinite. Footage shows Ethan attempting to pull Chloe from one such trap, only to find the floor beneath her hands collapsing into impossible depth. Lucas's camera records the event. Chloe's scream echoes endlessly, bouncing off walls that do not exist. When the camera turns back to Ethan, he has vanished. Maya records in her notebook, "We are being claimed. We do not resist. Resistance is meaningless." By this stage, the house affected perception at the deepest level. Reflections no longer mirrored reality. They showed the campers' future selves, hollow, decayed, integrated into the walls of the house itself. Lucas glimpsed his reflection moving independently, holding objects he had never seen. Ethan's reflection whispered commands he did not understand. Chloe's reflection laughed silently while her body cowered in terror. The camcorder captured an incident where all four interacted with their reflections, unaware that their bodies had begun responding involuntarily to the mirrored forms. Shadows merged with them, skin brushing against walls that flexed like living tissue. The house began isolating the campers. Hallways elongated infinitely, rooms disappeared, and doors vanished. Footage indicates that each camper became trapped in separate spaces, hearing the others faintly but unable to reach them. Lucas recorded a sequence in which he followed a hallway that should have led back to the parlor. Instead, he encountered an endless black void. He walked forward endlessly, his footsteps muted. Voices called to him, some familiar, some alien, but they came from every direction. Maya's journal notes, "We are fragments now. We hear each other, but we do not meet. We are threads of thought, unthreaded by the house. Morning is gone. There is no dawn. There is only waiting." The final recordings show that the house gradually integrated each camper into its structure. Walls closed around Lucas's form, leaving only the camcorder behind. Chloe's screams were absorbed, muffled and twisted by the very air. Ethan's journal entry ends mid-sentence. "We are no." The handwriting shifts to impossible shapes, spiraling into margins of the page. Maya's final act, captured on tape, was to write her name repeatedly on the floor until the letters seemed to melt into the wood, merging with the surface. She whispers directly to the camera, "It sees us, it is patient, it is hungry. We are nothing. Morning is gone." Recovered footage indicates that the house froze the campers outside of conventional time. Surveillance of the exterior after their disappearance showed no footprints, no disturbances, no exit. Drones and satellite images failed to detect any anomalies beyond the structure itself. The house remains unchanged, as if waiting for the next trespassers. Investigators hypothesize the house does not merely trap physical bodies. It traps consciousness, bending reality to fold the past, present, and future into itself. Those trapped become both memory and occupant simultaneously, forever part of the house's structure. One final recording, captured by the camcorder, reveals the house's nature most clearly. It begins as static, then resolves into whispers. "We are here. We are waiting. Morning is gone." Forever. The footage ends abruptly. The device was later found crushed under a warped floorboard. The case of Ethan Cole, Maya Torres, Lucas Grant, and Chloe Reed remains unresolved. Blackwood Forest's maps continue to show the area as empty. The house is present. Those who have attempted entry since report disorientation, terror, and an instinctive need to flee. The house, according to these reports, does not merely exist. It hunts, observes, and absorbs. Those who enter are never seen again. Morning never comes. All recovered materials, camcorder footage, notebooks, journals, have been archived. They stand as a record, a warning. The house waits, the night never ends, and those who enter are part of it now. Note that this story is not real and is only a work of fiction. For entertainment purposes, only be sure to like, subscribe, and share for more stories like this. Thanks for watching.